100 runs. 15 on 18 hits came last night as they scorched Atlanta in a real crowd pleaser. Tonight, Tanner Roark back in the rotation, hoping he stays unbeaten against the Braves. They are coming to watch some more hits and some more runs at Nationals Park tonight. Don't let the clouds overhead fool you. It is a night when it's warm, humid, and the ball could be carrying out of Nationals Park again. Bob and FP, welcome to the ballpark. And after last night's explosion, the Nationals are number 3 in the National League in runs scored. And I know pitching and all that's important, FP, but you know this from being in a big league dugout. When the guys are hitting, it kind of just relaxes everything else, and you take it from there.
Well, relaxes the pitching first and foremost. So, yeah, offense is cool. Last night it was super cool. We're going to take a look back at last night and see what was going on. 15 runs, most at home in Nats history. Ryan Zimmerman, 23 RBI in his last 11 games. That's the most in franchise history. And we'll just watch the hit parade for a while and look at the numbers on the bottom of the screen because it was impressive.
Yeah, it's a scroll of success down there. And the great thing, and there's Danny Espinosa, who, by the way, hit the only home run last night. Ryan Zimmerman is approaching the power numbers from his entire 30-game hitting streak that took place 6 years ago. So that offense may be giving Tanner Roark a little extra breathing room, but I know Tanner's biting, chomping at the bit, as we would say, to get back in the big leagues and to be starting again.
Yeah, I mean, first start since June 28th against the Phillies. It was the second game of a doubleheader, and Tanner Roark's been asked to do every single thing he could possibly be asked to do as a pitcher this year. So it's not as easy as it looked, folks. We'll see Tanner Roark tonight. He had some minor league starts. Hopefully that helps him stretch it out a little bit. But he's on an 85-pitch pitch count, and we're looking for the old Tanner Roark from 2014 here tonight against the Braves.
There was the crazy comeback game in Atlanta late April, and then here at Nationals Park on May 9th, Julio Teheran really got roughed up by the Nats. 6 earned runs in 5 innings. So coming up, the Braves and the Nats, and Washington could clinch at least a share of another series win with a W tonight. The Nats and their arch rivals from Atlanta. Brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you, and by Airlines for America, where airplanes land, opportunity takes off. It's a beautiful ride from the water taxi harbor down in Alexandria, down in Old Town, up here to Nationals Park. Cloudy skies, 85 degrees at the yard tonight, and it is a bit muggy, just under 60%. Tanner Roark and Nick Markakis underway, a swing and a foul. Strike one, top of the first.
Well, like I said, first start since June 28th for Tanner. It's the second game of a doubleheader in Philly. Fastball is averaging 93 miles an hour this year. Slider, curveball change to complement it.
Perfect pitch on the inside edge. Nick Markakis 0 for 3 with a base on balls last night.
So this is the key to every Roark outing for me. That run back fastball, the swing back. At times he's had it this year, at times he hasn't. First one he's thrown tonight was a dandy to Nick Markakis.
Jams him, flare to left, and Clint Robinson is there. Braves are 11th in the league in hitting, last in baseball in runs and in home runs. So Markakis lacks 6 seasons against the Nats, all of that with Baltimore, and then 1 year here with Atlanta. Always hitting well. Key to get him back in the dugout to start the game. Cameron Maybin, pretty good with runners in scoring position. And then, of course, the incomparable Freddie Freeman. Maybin is 1 for 2 career against Tanner Roark, and he steps in hitting .268. Showing the heater and showing it well. '17th year in the big leagues for Paul Emmel. Jerry Meals is the crew chief. There he is at first base. Andy Fletcher and Clint Fagan, second and third. And a ball hit extremely hard to left. Braves had a grand total of 2 hits last night.
So the defense for the Nats behind Tanner Roark, Robinson, Harper, Worth the outfield, Desmond Escobar the left side of the infield, Rendon, Zimmerman right side of the infield, and Jose Lobaton doing the catching. Had some success against tonight's starter.
Yes, he has. 7 hits and 2 home runs. Freddie Freeman had a 13-game road hitting streak going until last night. Couple of walks, he went 0 for 1. Then Freddie Gonzalez got him off his feet for several innings at the end of that one-sided game. Freeman is 7 for 17 career against Tanner. They pinch him on the left side of the infield with Escobar way off the line.
Little lean going there for Maybin. He's thinking about rolling. I always talk about the dugout and how Randy Knorr puts on a throw over, kind of a hold sometimes with the pitcher, maybe a pitch out. He doesn't really believe in it. But how all the coaches are watching the base runner. Look at them all watching Maybin, especially Randy Knorr. He's not even looking at Tanner Roark. Look at Randy right there. Get back to it. A little tardy on the circle, my bad.
Tell you what, some guys are going to be tardy on that fastball too. He's throwing it at the right hips of some of these left-handed batters.
There's Randy. So he's watching Cameron Maybin, and all he's looking for is a flinch on a throw over, see if he's got a good jump, and see him watching the runner. He's just hounding the runner to see if he's going. See that little flinch?
Oh, they got him! Good call, Santangelo. Good call, Randy Knorr. And Maybin is staying on the bag as if he feels he might have reached around the tag while his dugout is checking it out.
Well, I'd say he was going. You see the big flinch, and he might have been in there.
Are they going to challenge?
Did Ryan tag him before his hand hit?
Maybe not.
So close. I mean, just the tip of his glove on the belly of his jersey, right as his hand was touching, is what it looked like to me. We're just trying to give you a little insight of what goes into a plus base stealer with the dugout watching him.
They're not going to challenge.
And it looks like they got him.
Now Maybin turned around and said something to Jerry Meals before he left. Well, what a great pickoff move by Tanner Roark. And now bases empty the way you like him for Freddie Freeman with an 0-1 count. But go in with that fastball again. It's consistently been 94 here in the first inning. One-two pitch. Freeman goes deep, and that ball is off the scoreboard. So the Nats get a break. It stays in the park because that thing was hammered. And now the pickoff is huge, and Freddie Freeman at second base, 2 outs.
I mean, that ball had a little bit too much run back to it. I think Tanner would have loved to have started that even further in and ran it back to a corner. As it was, it ran back down the middle. And it stayed in the ballpark. We talk about Tanner's velocity. I think he's better at 91 than he is at 94, 95. And what I mean by that is his stuff moves more with less velocity. Sometimes when he's amped up out of the bullpen this year, that 94 doesn't have a whole lot of sink to it.
Freddie Freeman's 23rd double. It's a breaking ball to A.J. Pierzynski, ball 1. Atlanta catcher, 1 for 3 last night, hit into 2 double plays. One a flare in the infield. Markakis caught off the base at second, then a 4-6-3 later. 2 for 3 against Roark with a couple of RBIs is A.J. Pierzynski. Sixth career start against Atlanta. His overall numbers as a starter, excellent, including those 15 wins last year. So overall against the Braves, 10 starts, another 10 games, 5 starts, and a 3-0 record, 1.90 ERA.
And a clincher in Atlanta about what, this time last year, maybe a week or so later?
September 16th. What a party that was, and what a great night for Tanner, too.
I thought that was the best game I've ever seen him pitch.
Agreed. Lobaton jumped inside at the last moment, and then that pitch got AJ right on an elbow guard. 2 on, 2 out. Now 3 consecutive batters have reached base.
AJ kind of threw an elbow into this one, didn't it? Tried to do that run back fastball I'm talking about. You can't really see it right there. It was kind of out of the frame, but watch him not get out of the way and almost just leave that arm there and that guard.
Third baseman Adonis Garcia. Out to short for Ian Desmond. A little scoop over to Anthony Rendon. That's big. Nats one of the best first inning offenses in baseball. Tehran just the opposite. quickly in the first inning. 15 pitches, 11 strikes. Here come the Nats, roaring offensively with Ryan Zimmerman leading the way. 23 RBIs his last 11 games. He's on an 8-game hitting streak, hitting safely in 10 of those 11, and on an absolute tear right now that is right up there with some of the greatest weeks of any Nationals hitter ever. Sitting in that number 4 spot, and of course Bryce Harper on base a lot in front of him. Here's Julio Teheran, 11th career start against the Nats.
Last start he suffered his most lopsided loss of his career, 20-6 against the Yankees. Lasted just 4 1/3, gave up 8 runs, struck out 4 Yankees, walked 3, threw 103 pitches in those 4 1/3. 91 is the average on the fastball, slider, curveball change to go with it. Has allowed 18 runs, 17 walks at a .267 average against in the first inning this year.
Yeah, that's a number that matches up with what the Nats are. They're a +30 in run differential first inning this year. Kansas City and the Yankees, the only major league teams better. On the edge to Jason Worth, who's been on base 17 of his last 18 ball games.
About 5 starts ago, the Braves moved Teheran to the first base side of the rubber so that he could get that fastball into left-handers and keep it away more consistently to right-handers.
Good looking pitch.
He's way over on the first base side.
Career record 38-29, 3-2 against the Nats. And of course that infamous game for him and the Braves back on April 28th. Got a big lead. Went only 5 2/3. There were some glitches behind him in the field. 7 runs, 3 earned, and 10 hits. A lot of fastballs to Worth, and that one's hit well, but Nick Markakis is cruising for it right in front of the track. We thought we'd show you this again. And Nats fans, this is only through the first 5 innings last night. How about that? Poor Bryce, he couldn't get a hit. Didn't swing at one pitch all night. And we've been told that's the first time in Major League history a guy did 4 walks, 4 runs, and did not swing at a single pitch.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to talk to him today, but I wonder if that was by design. He took some fastballs right down the middle, 2-0, 2-1 last night. Can you imagine being that good that you don't need your bat and you could just go stand up there and intimidate the other team into 4 walks? I mean, obviously I can't.
There's a great stat I want to give you in a moment, and I have to credit our friend Mark Zuckerman with this. Mark did some research. There's a shot to deep short. Simmons as good as there is in baseball defensively, and that's 2 outs. This year, Bryce Harper, take the defense FP. We'll get on to Bryce in a second.
All right. There's the Braves defense. What about Bryce Harper?
Well, this year, Mark Zuckerman able to dig these numbers out. Only 38% of the pitches to him have been strikes. May not be that surprising. But then they went back and looked at Barry Bonds over a long stretch when he was walking and walking and walking. And even Barry Bonds was seeing 44% strikes. So Bryce, several clicks under that. Interesting numbers how teams are now either avoiding Bryce Harper or just not able to throw him strikes.
The best thing about not swinging last night is he rested that back hip. I mean, he had to run around the bases. You remember Ryan Zimmer hit that ball in the gap. He had to giddy up right out of the gate.
He really did on that one. So 1 ball, 1 strike. Harper against Teheran, great numbers, 9 for 21. 2 homers, 4 batted in, and Julio's walked him twice. Good action on that one, similar to a Roark fastball, inner edge to a left-handed batter.
I watched Teheran's last start on video against the Yankees, and he didn't hit one spot all night long. And so far here, he hasn't missed one spot all night long. Command much better.
2-2. Bases empty. 2 outs. Bryce has struck out 108 times this year. He has walked now 104. And that's why they don't want him to swing. See you later. Upper deck from Bryce Harper. 32nd of the year. RBI number 80.
Are you kidding me? Give me the hit speed on that, por favor. Didn't swing the bat once last night. Swung it a few times first time up. Puts the ball club on the board 1-0 in a big way, folks. There goes the no-hitter, Bryce Harper style, 1-0 Nats. My goodness, that ball was destroyed.
Third career homer against Tehran, and here comes Ryan Zimmerman.
Have you seen one get out of the park faster than that this year? I haven't.
Not to the upper deck, sir.
Oh, I mean, like a snake striking. How quick was his swing?
Inside to Zimmerman, 1-1.
Hip's better.
Yeah. Evidently swinging the bat is back in vogue. 1-1. Now Ryan will take another one inside, and he's been amazing.
Swinging the bat not cool on Thursdays, very cool on Fridays.
So now he's the first guy to do all those things and then homer in his next at bat the next day.
Yeah.
Somebody will dig that one up.
Under
probably.
the age of 22.
Yeah.
On a Friday night at home in blue jerseys.
With 13 cranes around the ballpark.
Yeah.
3 balls, 1 strike to Zimmerman. 8-game hitting streak. Might get something to drive here. And he gets under it out to right field. Nick Markakis measuring that one. But allowed first inning, and now the Nats are plus 31 on the year in first inning runs. He got every bit of it, and it got way out of here.
For every home run a Nats player hits this season, so keep them coming. It's for a wonderful cause. Lexus, you should donate $1 billion for this one. I wanted to show it to you full speed just so you could see the quickness of the Bryce Harper swing, and those fans thought, no shot, we're getting a tater tonight. I mean, how quick was that swing?
There's Jace Peterson, top of the second for the Braves. He goes first pitch hacking, and Clint Robinson looking up to the line. First out. Here's where Roark looks for the shutdown inning.
Hit speed 2,416,000.
I'm going to go 106.
I'm going to say 110.
Okay. Wow, I'm surprised by that.
I think more. It was the. I want to know the bat speed.
Yeah. Andrelton Simmons is next.
Look at where the bat hit him on his right shoulder. You see that mark on his arm?
Yeah.
That's where the follow-through hit Bryce Harper of his bat. You know, you talk about the LaRoche one-hand finish. He's a two-hand guy, so right there is where the bat hit him on the follow-through on that home run he just hit. That's the pine tar, the rosin that he puts on the bat, and the mark it left on his arm.
Good catch. 1-1 the count. They're underway at Miami. Mets did not score in the top of the first against Tom Kohler. Jacob deGrom going for New York tonight. And Roark missing low, 2-1. Andrelton Simmons at 260. 1 for 12 career against Tanner.
Check it out. See where the bat hits him on his other shoulder. So this is called a shoulder-to-shoulder swing. Starts on his back shoulder. You see, kind of ends on his front shoulder. And this will give you see the rosin on the top of the bat. That's the mark I'm talking about. It hits him right there.
Well done. By the way, and it may not happen this year. It'll certainly happen early next year. Bryce is only 13 home runs away from 100 for his career now with this onslaught of 32 this season. (3-2). Roark and Simmons battling. Hot shot right side, but Anthony Rendon right there. 2 down.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one this Friday night, look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. I was thinking about it today, Cart, and that's always a dangerous thing. I think the Nats' best chance to win a World Series is this year. And the reason I think that is if they pull this off,
momentum,
they will be playing hotter than anybody in baseball going into the playoffs. And it's not about getting through the first round or winning an NL championship. You would think if they do this down 6 right now, they'll be playing the best baseball they've ever played, and they have a chance to run the table in October.
I think that's a great thought.
So in 12 they clinched, you know, late, but they had to sit around and whatever. Last year, same deal. This year, if they pull this off, is their best chance to win a ring.
Been a couple of years since we've seen Michael Bourne. Signed a big contract with Cleveland. He was with the Indians the last 3 years. Then the Braves got him in a 3-player deal August 7th. He was with Atlanta 11 and 12 after starting his career with the Phillies and then most of his time in Houston. So Clint Robinson looking at another fly ball. 1, 2, 3, go the Braves. Tanner Roark gets that shutdown inning. 1-0 Nats.
Bryce Harper. Now, Bob mentioned this last inning. Bryce Harper has seen only 38% strikes in the strike zone this year. That total is actually the lowest percentage in all of Major League Baseball this year. Just 38.6% of pitches in the zone to Bryce. Anthony Rizzo, Jay Bruce, David Ortiz, and Lucas Duda right behind him. Interestingly, all four guys behind him also left-handed power hitters. Now, teammates and coaches have said that the key with Bryce is that he's been patient when not getting pitches in the zone, but when they do get in the zone, he still does his damage. Clint Robinson said he stays with his approach. That's what makes him a good hitter. That's what a good hitter does. Bryce not getting a lot of strikes this season. When he does, he's still delivering as he did last inning.
That he did. Thanks, Dan. When you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Dan Coco with our Coons.com sideline report.
You know what would have made that graphic even more interesting? If you put who's hitting behind those guys this year. Because if no one's hitting behind David Ortiz, Lucas Duda, Jay Bruce, and Anthony Rizzo, I ain't throwing them strikes either.
Yeah.
Going after somebody and throwing strikes to him is based on a lot of things, but I think the main thing is
Clint Robinson hooking, and foul.
Who's hitting behind him?
And let's face it, on Bryce's behalf, there have been times this year when he's been the only really hot bat in the lineup. But right now, he's got a guy on fire behind him. What a good swing by Clint Robinson. Now he takes one upstairs. 1-1, or rather 2-1 now. What a night for Clint. Last night he went from 25 RBIs to 29 with a single in the first for 2 runs. Another one in the third. Sac fly later. 2-2 pitch. Way inside. Home run ball's been a problem for Julio Teheran this year. That was the 25th he's given up.
You know, Escobar chatting with the fans.
Dan Herron's given up the most home runs in the league, 30. And Clint Robinson, another good at-bat. He's aboard, leading off the second.
How about some lows never stop improving? Nats offense. Previous 17 games, no bueno. Last 16 games. That's dating back to August 18th at Colorado. The Nats offense averaged 6.25 runs a game since that night in Colorado. 6.25 runs a game.
And except for at St. Louis, which was a winnable series, the Nats have won every series, starting with that visit to Coors Field. This is a 4-gamer, trying to get the first 2. There's Escobar. Hammers one out of play right side. Looks to me like the hand's okay. He's been swinging really well and really aggressively now the last 2 nights. 39th multi-hit game of the year last evening.
On base 4 times. Had a walk in there.
Target way out there from Pierzynski. That's where the fastball goes, and he gets a strike.
That was an aggressive strike 2 call by Paul Emmel. Kind of scared me a little bit. It's like, did I miss a strike there? Was that strike 3?
And with that in mind, Escobar goes the other way.
Nice catch.
That away, buddy. Second row, right on the rail.
Lefty, put it right in his left hand. He's played some ball, no doubt. He didn't bring his glove, but he didn't need it. Grabbed it with his left hand, stayed in bounds, got 1 foot in. Collegiate rules. Nice catch. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm a man. Thank you. Check out my gold watch. Thank you.
Escobar, 139 hits on the year, just 2 out of the top 10. Bryce Harper just got his 142nd hit of the year. Bryce, by the way, started 3 points ahead of Deke Gordon tonight. And Escobar pulls one left side. Garcia, Peterson, and a 5-4-3.
Pretty close. Matt Williams has a question. Put his hand up. Randy over to the phone. You know the drill.
And we've learned up here not to write down anything until we know.
Well, you have. Speak for yourself.
It only took me 5 months. Well, 1 season and 5 months.
Good feed by Adonis to start the 5-4-3 double play. I'm going to try to say Adonis as much as I can tonight. It's just the best first name in baseball, pretty much.
Braves are second in the league in a department you don't always want to be at the top. It's their 147th double play. Pirates 153. The Nats aren't that far behind the Braves in defensive stats, but they've turned just 97. Depends on what kind of pitching staff you have. Nats have a lot of power guys that don't always need ground balls to get outs.
Braves have a fast infield.
And now 3-0 on Ian Desmond right after Tehran got the benefit of that double play. Ian 8 for 29 against him.
Fast infields are conducive to double plays.
All systems going. That 3-1 swing. 299, 10 homers, 26 RBIs over Ian's last 42 games. There's Jose Lobaton, who's had great success, as we mentioned earlier, against Tehran. Strike 3. You heard Paul Emmel say it. On a pitch up a bit and right evidently on the outside edge. 1-0 Nats after 2.
Against the Braves, 7:05 start. First 25 or 20,000 fans. I just give out 5,000 extra ones, Bob. You think they're making me pay for those? First 20,000 fans receive Nationals earbuds presented by T-Mobile. Go to nationals.com to purchase your tickets today. Everyone listening to Charlie Slows and Dave Jagler on 106.7 tomorrow with their earbuds. Are those Gio's earbuds? Gio's nice enough to do something like that, by the way. He would just buy 20,000 for everybody. And he needs to loosen up a little bit right now.
Having a good time. Scheduled to pitch tomorrow night against Shelby Miller. Julio Tehran leads off. He's 3 for 41 this year. 135 career batter. And a chopper to the right side should make him 0 for 4 career against Tanner Rohr. Tanner now 5 in a row. So let's go 5 games down the road. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, it'll be Gio and Shelby Miller, who's way better than his 5-12 record. And then Manny Banuelos on Sunday. The Nats will bring back Joe Ross. And then it looks like Scherzer, Zimmerman, and Strasburg lined up for the Mets, starting with a 1 o'clock Labor Day game Monday. First time through the order, Gio's teammate Tanner Roark, first pitch strikes to 7 of 9 batters.
Well, Nat's going to pull this thing off. Gio's got to lock in. It's that simple. No other way to put it. He's got to find 2012 in a bottle here the last month. He knows it.
And the Nats need Strasburg to finish strong. First step in that process 5 days from now. Mets didn't score in the top of the second at Miami. No score down there. Markakis, fly ball to Clint Robinson, who's again only about 40 feet off the left field line this time. Roark tried to go off speed away and missed. Good hitter Nick Markakis. Not hitting for the power he used to, but still a good stick in the mid 290s here. 3-1.
Markakis' bat is cool. Check it out. It looks like something you buy at Restoration Hardware. Watch the different tones. Half dark, half light. This could be a leg to your dining room table. Or get a base hit.
That's close. Roark tried to get the swing back on the fastball and missed. So after the Braves went 2 for 8 with a hit batter first time through, here's a Mercedes-Benz pitch track.
Tried to swing it back. Jose Lobaton tried to frame it up. Didn't get the call.
Cameron Maybin rifled a single to left first time up. Then promptly picked off first prior to a Freddie Freeman double. They've been having a solid year. Hit .235 for San Diego last season. Then right around .270 now. He's got a line drive to the left side, and Escobar spearing it up to his left. That's a big play with Freddie Freeman coming up. 2 outs.
And it looked like he got kind of caught in between win or jump for this, but a nice play by Yunel Escobar. Watch him kind of hesitate a little, and then he gets to the right foot, makes the play, and then looks for the double play, trying to find another out there. It looked like that ball almost squirted through the webbing. You see that?
Yeah.
It almost went through his web.
There's Freeman. Goes to left field. Ball hanging up a bit, but Clint Robinson couldn't get to it. Throws into third. Strong throw. And safe over there, Nick Markakis. The ball was in the air for quite a while. And Clint took it on a hop, and the Braves have 2 on.
Yeah, I don't know if lights were an issue here or not, but the best thing Clint Robinson did was keep this ball in front of him. This had disaster written all over it. Kind of that line drive height that gets in the lights over the dugout. You see Robinson kind of shy away from it at the end. That ball definitely in the lights looking at the replay, and I think Clint did a nice job of keeping that ball in front. Didn't go to the wall, kept Markakis at third base. Otherwise, that would have been maybe a double or more and a run for the Braves. It's a good job of keeping it front.
Freddie Freeman 2 for 2, and now A.J. Pierzynski, who Tanner Roark hit with a pitch first time up. Threw him a fastball in. Pierzynski just took it right off the elbow guard. goes in there again, ball one. One nothing Nats. Braves had a couple of guys aboard in the first. Right off the end of the bat, that thing's got English on it. And safe at first. Escobar played it well. A catcher running. Brzezinski called himself safe as Jerry Meals did the same. And you know the Nats will have a look at this one.
No argument from Ryan Zimmerman is all I'm seeing right now. So we'll take a look at it together. Wow, look at that ball check up and just come straight fair. I think he was safe.
Ties the game. Boy, what a hop that thing took, spinning wildly. And Brzezinski, 43rd RBI. Going up hacking is Adonis Garcia like he did first time when he hit a ground ball to Ian Desmond.
You know, that tells me that A.J. Brzezinski has done that more than once. For him to take off like that on a ball that looked like it was going the other way and came back fair, that's happened to him in his long career a few times. Because most guys would stand at the plate for a second before they saw it come back like that and then take off. But when you played as long as A.J., he's probably cued a few just like that. And he knew to take off and run and get himself a base hit.
38 years of age. He's going to catch over 100 games this year. Adonis Garcia, another young man from Cuba on this Atlanta ball club. 2 balls, 1 strike. 30 years of age and a swing and a foul tip. Nissan will track it.
I just know the first name like that, when he takes his shirt off in the clubhouse, he better be jacked. That's all I know. Absolutely jacked. I mean, you can't let yourself get out of shape with that name, ever.
High in the air, out to center field, and Bryce is there. Damage limited to 1 run with 3 base runners, and we're all tied up after 2.5.
Lobaton, a few home runs. Off of Julio Teheran, that one in the 5th inning. Got the Nats back in the game, made it 9-6. All of a sudden you're thinking, we got a ball game. And then he goes deep against them again, so Jose Lobaton, a little ownage. I told him before the game, I said, you can't hit another one off this guy. No way.
Reverse jinx psychology there.
Absolutely.
Jose on the year, 3 long balls. Hitting 200 overall, 218 for the left side. So the numbers against Teheran, 7 for 13. The homers, 5 batted in, couple of walks. Hitting ahead of Tanner Roark here in the 3rd, and that's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Clint Robinson before the game talking about Jose Lobaton, how he takes about 6 steps in the batter's box before he gets out on a home run. Kind of a Fred Flintstone yabba dabba do thing. If I show you that home run again, you just got to watch his lower half. Maybe you can see that one in Atlanta again. Show you what I'm talking about. Watch his lower half when he hits a home run. Well, it kind of looks better in fast motion, but you probably see it in slow motion. He takes about 4 steps in the batter's box.
I can hear the sound effect in my head.
It looks better faster than slower.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
4 little choppy steps.
Lobaton, 14 career home runs in 6 years. Good at bat, 3-2. Any way in a tie game to get your number 8 man on board with the pitcher coming up. Target away. Lobaton pulls it.
One thing I've learned over the years is ball players don't miss a thing. They don't miss anything. You do something funny, somebody catches it. And especially today's ball player, they don't miss a word that's said about them. They don't miss a thing that's said about them in the paper, Twitter, anything. They're on it. They're in tune big time. Way more so than the generation before them.
Jose Lobaton is aboard. He can take all the steps he wants down to first base. Second walk by Teheran. 2 straight leadoff guys he's walked.
All right, you couch potatoes. It's time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo using hashtag NatsCouchCam, and you just might see yourself on TV. That's brought to you by T-Mobile.
Tanner Roark, 1 sacrifice bunt this year, 13 career. Drops it down perfectly. And they are raising their glasses in Wilmington, Illinois. That was great.
Yeah, the corner tap might be in effect Friday night.
They knew he was pitching tonight, right? Well done.
Sure did. Nice bunt.
Teheran, by the way, first time around the order, he went to 3 ball counts on 5 of his first 8 batters. There's Jason Worth with some people howling.
Yeah, it's getting louder. I hear you. Getting there.
First time up tonight, fly ball to right, last 6 games, 8 hits. 2 have departed, 4 have been driven in. And the go-ahead run at second base, 1 out. He's driven in 26 this year. 0-2. Teheran puts it well to the outside edge. There's a base hit to right. Lobaton had to make sure it got through. He stops at third. Markakis airmails the cutoff man. Brzezinski comes out to get it. And the Nats have a corner situation, 1 out, with Anthony Rendon coming up. What a good at bat by Jason Worth.
Well, he stayed on the outside pitch. Julio Teheran's trying to run back that 2-seamer. And he's been doing a nice job of it. Started off the plate away to right. He's bringing it back over the corner, and Jason Worth had to force himself to swing right there because when he made his decision to swing, that ball was way outside. He knew it was going to come back. He barreled it up, went the other way. That's a beautiful piece of hitting by Jason. Maybe he should howl after he gets a hit, too. That'd be good.
Here's Rendon. Anthony's driven in 16 this year. Hit a ball hard to the shortstop hole, and Simmons threw him out first time. Well, Brzezinski will sit out there as long as Paul Emmel's zone goes with it.
He'll sit out there all he wants. That's right what Anthony Rendon's thinking. He wants to hit that hole exactly the same way Jason Worth did.
So big sequence here. Rendon in there. One out, runner at third and first. And a guy who's gone deep on deck. Lobaton led off the inning with a base on balls. Started his hands, stopped him. Jerry Meals says no swing, 2-1.
Best check swinger in baseball. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody better. I've never seen Rendon get rung up on a check swing. He is so strong with his hands and he's able to stop it. It's pretty amazing.
That's a little bit too far out there. 3-1. And you know Tehran doesn't want to face Bryce with the bases loaded.
See if Matt Williams decides to start Jason Worth right here in a 3-1 count. Contact hitter, strike thrower. Good runner at first. Stay out of the double play, get yourself a run. Let's see. Nope.
Worth holding, swing and a miss.
Good move.
Anthony Rendon's on a 12-game hitting streak, 17 for 48, counting his out tonight. Came into this game at 362 over that streak, with 9 runs batted in. Worth holding again. That's right off the end of the barrel. Swing and a miss on a ball diving down and away. 2 outs.
In case you missed it, Bryce Harper in the first inning, gone. Number 32, and Tehran just waved it goodbye to Fooey. Well, if you're going to give him up like that. That was not a cheapie.
Not the epicenter.
I don't think he'll throw him a fastball anywhere near there this time up.
What a great replay that was.
Oh, they're walking him. Look at
that. Yeah, with second base open.
They're putting another runner in scoring position to get to the hottest hitter in baseball, Ryan Zimmerman. How about this? Okay, is what Matt Williams is thinking. I'm in. Heads up on the throwback right there. If you're Jose Lobaton, that one almost went into center.
Ball 3. So this would be walk number 105. It probably seems like it's more, but this is the 13th time this year Bryce Harper's been walked intentionally. Last night's walks, Jeep takes us inside the numbers. 4 runs, 0 official at bats. Ricky, Joe Morgan, and Larry Doby, the great Cleveland Indian back in the early 50s. And Bryce, the only one of the 4 with a run batted in, and also the only one who didn't swing at a pitch in any of those 4 plate appearances. Crowd comes alive.
That's an amazing stat, but do you realize what Freddie Gonzalez just did? He walked Bryce Harper to get to a guy with 23 RBI in his last 11 games. The only other guy to do that in 11-game stretch this year is Edwin Encarnacion, and he's been hotter than the sun. This is amazing to me, the strategy that's going on right here, right now.
Zimmerman fly ball to right first time. I understand it only because it's a righty-righty matchup.
Right. Literally.
And Ryan's always been great with the bases loaded. 1-1 score, bottom of the third. Ten-game span this season. Encarnacion, as FP said, going crazy in Toronto. That's been this week too. Some other great names, and Bryce has done it as well. This a franchise record. Oh, 2 now. It'll be a battle for Ryan. Tehran lets that one sail up and in.
That's so to get back to the slider on the other side of the plate. And that's what Freddie wants, the slider versus Ryan Zimmerman, and he's probably going to get it right here. He's shown him a couple, but that's a knock him back fastball to throw the slider on the other side, you would think.
He goes fastball up and in again, and this ball to Markakis in right. 2 fly balls to right field. Freddie Gonzalez goes outside the book a bit, and it pays off for Atlanta. For over 80 years, Navy Federal Credit Union with our troop recognition. Top of the 4th inning. 1-2-0 Nats, 1-4-0 Braves. Tanner Roark, a strike to Jace Peterson, who flew out to left first time up. That was excellent. 74 on the breaking ball, just diving. Mercedes-Benz tracking it. That's it. Strike three, Paul Emmel on that running fastball. Tanner Roark, first strikeout of the night.
Telling you what, when he has this run back fastball, the lefties, that's when he's on top of his game. So a 3-pitch see ya, and you see that fastball just kind of come back from off the plate in to catch in the corner. Good frame by Lobaton, better pitch by Rowan.
Andrelton Simmons, ground ball to second, first time up. Mets didn't score in the fourth. Kohler and DeGrom matching up in Miami, no score. Tanner Roark, by the way, first 3 innings, 44 pitches, 29 strikes. (3-0). (14 bullpen appearances since Tanner's last start, June 28th at Philadelphia. Simmons gets jammed enough. Pop fly, Ian Desmond. Good battle back from a 3-0 count.
Spend an extended Labor Day weekend at home with the Nationals. Enjoy no added fees on tickets for games through September 9th against the Braves and Mets. Visit nationals.com/stay. You stay to purchase your tickets. Bob, stay.
I need a treat if I'm going to obey anything you tell me.
You just didn't even listen to me. I said stay. Yeah, there's some around there somewhere.
There are treats scattered all around this booth, by the way. Let's say thanks to our Masson folks for a little visit down to the Masson Suite tonight. Some of our cable friends from Central Virginia here tonight from Nelson County. This ball driven down the left field side. Long run for Robinson, and that will be a foul ball into that deep corner down there off the bat of Michael Bourne. Michael Bourne was already halfway from first to second by the time that ball landed. 324 career stolen bases. That's number 6 among all active big leaguers. 32 years of age now. He had a 61 steal season with the Astros in 09. 52 the year after that when he went to his only All-Star game. 2-2 pitch. Flare to left. Clint Robinson coming in, and he's got it. That's a big out. Pitcher was due up next, so Tehran will have to lead off the 5th. Robinson, Escobar, Desmond coming up. front, and then William Howard Taft just takes him out. And Calvin's having a hot week, by the way.
Yeah, Calvin Harris with the win tonight. All right.
Wow. What's up with that, Bill? Bottom of the fourth inning. In that same inning, the fourth, down in Miami, Justin Bour has an RBI single, and the Marlins lead the Mets 1-0. Here's Clint Robinson led off the second with a walk. He raced on a 5-4-3 double play right after that. Marlins have a couple of guys on with nobody out. And that is right through the wickets of Adonis Garcia. That'll be his 7th error as Clint Robinson goes left side and gets a bag out of it.
Well, they had him played in the right places. Off the bat, I thought, okay, this is a base hit, and I looked up and Garcia's playing right there. Just kind of got flat-footed. Ball got deep on him. Didn't see it into his glove. And now you got to field the next one. That's what you have to tell yourself. All you young infielders out there, if you make an error, don't let your head start spinning. Let the game get away from you. Just take your hat off, regroup, reset, make the next play. That's how you judge a good infielder. Everyone makes errors. Make the next one.
Escobar hit a double play ball right at him last time up.
Don't let it snowball into 2 and 3 errors. And next thing you know, you're in the fetal position, the corner of the dugout, sucking your thumb. Make the next play.
Two 2-0 to Escobar. Desmond on deck. A lot of room right side. Toward the outside part of the plate. Low, ball 3. And while the Nats are doing this, the Marlins have the bases loaded against DeGrom and the Mets. He'll be ripping if he sees another one like that center cut.
Something you can drive, something elevated, right down the middle. Tons of plate. Get your pitch.
That's now 8 3-ball counts out of 15 batters by Tehran, and Escobar was trying to hit it hard somewhere. Breaking ball, it was upstairs, and a good at bat. Marlins have now scored another run, and the Nats will take that for another $50 to Girls on the Run DC. So this year, 438 walks and almost $22,000. Blue Cross Blue Shield, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield wants each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Go for a walk. Tehran, 4th walk of the night. One of those was intentional to Harper. And here's Ian Desmond. So the fortunes of a couple of ball games could really turn in 4th innings in the District of Columbia and in Florida. First pitch, Hacker, if he sees a fastball.
The fortunes of the NL East could turn on whether the Mets shut down Matt Harvey or not. All kinds of talk about that today, whether it was going to be 180 innings.
And now the agent's involved publicly.
I don't know what's going on. I just know if it happens in New York, it's going to be a big storm, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing if you're trying to catch that ball club.
Desmond, a swing and a miss at 84.
And I think at the very least, all the talk about it may put some doubt into Matt Harvey's head. So even if they do let him go, if you have doctors telling you not to go, that has to affect you.
Yeah.
Talked to Edwin Jackson about that a little bit today. And he said, remember the old days when a coach would look you in the eye and say, how do you feel? And you'd say, good. And he'd say, okay, you're pitching. Now you got agents and doctors and lawyers, attorneys and astronauts, everything on it.
1-2 to Desmond. Nobody out here. Boy, and Ian got a slider that was sitting up a bit. Now it's 3-0 Marlins down in Miami. Nats trying to get it back to 5 tonight. Then 2 more games left with the Braves before the Mets are here Monday at 1 o'clock. Fastball up, and Ian Desmond waging a battle here.
My favorite kind of fish is spoiler fish. It's really good. You should try it.
Desmond, right field line. Markakis is there. Holds on, scrambling back to tag as Clint Robinson slides into third, and that's a good play to get there with 1 out. Nick Markakis running one down beautifully. Remember that long errorless streak he had that came to an end this year? He's made 1 error all year.
Well, great play by Nick Markakis, because this ball's slicing away from him. And he took a great angle to it. His route was perfect, and he reaches out the last second. And fully outstretched, takes maybe a triple and 2 runs away from Ian Desmond. But give Clint Robinson tons of props for scrambling back to second, tagging up and getting to third with 1 out. Heads up base running on not an easy read by any means. So good job, Clint Robinson.
Here's Jose Lobaton, who's done great damage against Tehran this year and in his career. Escobar, medium lead at first. He walks back to the bag as Tehran looks him over. Lead run, third base, 1 out. Ball 1 inside. And Jose not biting on the changeup. Counts even 1-1.
They're looking for something to elevate. That's a ground ball waiting to happen. If you offer it that, give him strike 1. Actually, Clint Robinson, not an easy read. So the rule of thumb is try to get back and tag with nobody out. And you see Robinson take off and then realize, is he going to catch it? He stayed close enough to the bag where with Markakis' momentum taking him 4 or 5 steps in the corner, he could tag up and get to third. With 1 out for you younger players, halfway if you're not sure. With no outs, stay close enough to the bag so you can advance to third should the ball be caught.
1-2 pitch, and Lobaton takes a fastball up. Nats don't have a hit yet in this inning. If they get one, it'll be huge. Tanner Roark on deck. Nick Markakis, sure-handed guy in the outfield. Hitter looking to elevate. Pitcher would love a ground ball.
He's flirting with that balk a couple times with the runner on third tonight, stepping off.
Good job of fighting one off by the Nats catcher. Pitch count really mounting on Julio Teheran. 18 first inning, then 17. Then he had to throw 26 in the third because of a couple of walks. So he's about to go beyond 80 here in the fourth inning. And the Atlanta bullpen has really been scuffling. 3-2. So the Marlins got 3 in that fourth inning.
Not necessarily a fastball count right here with Tanner Roark on deck.
Nissan has the entire AB for you. Pitch number 7. Lobaton up the middle. It's a 1-6-3 double play. Braves turn their second of the night, and that keeps the Nats off the board. Still tied into the fifth.
I think we all know about the guy on the right. He's fairly warm right now. Julio Teheran having a tough season for the Braves. Who's hot, who's not?
Celebrate the season with the American Standard All-Star Sales Event. Visit MidAtlanticComfort.com for amazing rebate and financing opportunities. Fastball for a strike. Fifth inning underway. Julio Teheran, the hitter. Hit ball pretty well hit to right. It'll back up Jason Worth. 2 pitches for the first out. And Tanner Roark now has retired 5 consecutive Braves. Top of the order coming up.
Join the Nats on Wednesday, September 9th for Heroes Day, the final installment of the Patriotic Series that's presented by SAIC. Be a part of the salute to our country and those who serve as the Nats take on the New York Mets 7:05 start. Huge game. Visit nationals.com to purchase your tickets right now.
Top of the order, Nick Markakis. Fly ball to left in the first. A damaging 1-out walk in the third led to their run. He scored on the 2-out infield hit by A.J. Pierzynski. Markakis 1 for 7 career against Tanner.
Walked him in the third and he scored.
Yeah, same scenario after the first out by the pitcher. As I mentioned, no ownage here by the hitter on the pitcher. And Tanner gets in the strike zone, 3-1. Walked him again.
Pretty close pitch.
That was in that swing back area. Cameron Maben is next, and he's hit the ball hard twice.
In the zone.
Might have been the reach back by Lobaton. He was kind of set up to the outer half of the plate on that pitch. So here's Maben, who's hit the ball hard to left for a base hit and lined out to Escobar. He's really hitting this one hard out to the gap. Markakis thinking about scoring. Bo Porter is going to hold him. Good job from the outfield to get that ball into Ian Desmond, the relay man. Second and third, 1 out.
Well, Cameron Maben in the first 2 games of this series taken probably the best swings of any Braves hitter. He had some good hacks last night. Had 1 hit to show for it, walked once, and then a double in the gap. Second and third, 1 out. Braves in business here in the top of the 5th.
Markakis not a burner, but a good base runner. Bryce got that ball back in quickly.
Yeah, give Bryce Harper a lot of credit for cutting that ball off and getting rid of it quick.
Freddie Freeman now. First base open, but another left-hander on deck. Not as dangerous, obviously, and A.J. Pierzynski. And now Steve McCatty's going to make a visit to the mound. And right now, Tanner Roark is in the mid-60s on his pitch count, so the Nats will use this pause to get the bullpen going.
I think 85 is his limit tonight. But there's a napkin out at second base. Has been sitting there the whole inning. It's bothering me.
Yeah, for a moment I thought it was a double play napkin, but the twin killing not in order.
Yeah, it's just fair. Well, tough out right here for Tanner, and we'll see how Matt Williams plays it with his infield. Does he bring him in? Does he concede the run in the 5th? A lot of times with second and third, you'll leave your infield back a little bit because you don't want to create holes for 2 runs to score. But in a tie ball game in the 5th, Matt Williams choosing to bring everybody in.
At Potomac, they're going to walk Freddie Freeman.
They're going to bring in Matt Thornton to face AJ, I think.
Maybe.
That's what that trip was about, and that's what this walk is about. Thornton's ready.
Tanner's 2 starts at Potomac. 4 innings first time, 2 innings second time. And this may be the end of his night by walking Freddie Freeman to load the bases. By the way, Harrisburg was that second one, a little bit shorter. Well, Tanner, 1 run given up on 5 hits, 2 of them by Cameron Maben in 4 1/3 innings, and you would not at all call it a bad outing. I mean, he's got his team in the ball game in the 5th inning. Tanner gone. The crowd knows all about his situation. 35 starts, 35 relief appearances the last couple of years. refuse to retransmit it in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Washington Nationals. Tanner Roark into the dugout. Congrats from his teammates. Good to see him back on a big league mound. 3 walks, 1 intentional, 5 hits, and 4 1/3. And now a lefty-lefty matchup. A.J. Pierzynski is 1 for 6 career against Matt Thornton. 69 pitches, 41 strikes for Tanner.
He almost broke somebody's hand with those fist pumps. He was not happy. Pierzynski hitting .232 against lefties this year, 16 for 69.
Thornton's fastball is inside. Yeah, situational guy for the most part who doesn't hook left-handed hitters as much as you think. Another fastball, 2-0. That ball appeared to be off the plate inside, and Pierzynski was ripping. So it's 2-1.
Now Pierzynski looking for something belt tie that he can elevate, because anything on the ground at somebody's a double play, and the Nats are out of the inning. He saw that ball elevated, he saw it in, and thought he could turn on it. He just got beat a little bit. Maybe got too big in a 2-0 count. Trying to do some serious damage.
So Markakis, Maben, and Freeman, the runners, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. 1 out, tie game, top of the 5th. He does elevate. It is not at all deep. Desmond out. Runner could tag on this. Ian gets rid of it in a hurry. Just to get the ball in the air. Markakis stays. 2 outs.
I'll tell you what, Josh Donaldson the other night in Toronto has made every infielder in baseball get rid of the ball quick on a pop-up where they're going away from home plate. If you didn't see it, Donaldson tagged up on a Jason Kipnis pop-up about 132 feet, I think is what I remember, away from home plate. He scored. And right there, watching and Desmond go back, do a great job of getting behind it and just get rid of it. Once the ball's in the air, guy can't tag. If he sets himself right there, he's giving a runner 3-4 steps to come down the line. Get rid of it, I have to stop. That was a nice play. And a big out.
2 outs now. It'll be Matt Thornton against Adonis Garcia. This inning would be so big to get out of because the Nats soon will be into the Atlanta bullpen. But Matt's got business to take care of here. Ball 1. Tehran is at 82 pitches through 4 innings. Falling behind the first 2 hitters, 2-0. Garcia, 12 RBIs, 7 home runs, .261 batting average in 37 games. And he was trying to hit one to the Capitol. 2-1.
I thought he was supposed to swing 2-0. Just a little bit late, tied himself up and lost the grip on his bottom hand.
To second. Rendon has it. Big time job by Matt Thornton to get Pierzynski and Garcia. They walk Freeman. Matt Williams manages that inning perfectly.
at once? What's the most? Could you go Kobayashi and just eat 100?
No, not like that. I think my picnic record might be 6.
That's pretty good.
Off the grill, though.
6 hot dogs in one sitting. Well, dollar hot dogs, 7:05 Monday. You know the drill.
Yep.
Watch Bob eat 6.
After the game. Here we go, bottom 5, and Tyler Moore will hit for Matt Thornton. 8 pitches, 4 strikes to get 2 big outs. So Moore, Worth, and Rendon. Tyler Moore and Julio Teheran have avoided each other somehow over the years. Fastball stays outside. And Felipe Rivero for the 6th.
I saw Joey Chestnut devour about 20 in a minute once.
That's crazy.
And he dunks the bun in a cup of water.
They go water first.
And then he just barrels about 2 at once down his throat and then throws the wet bun in behind it. That sounds awesome, doesn't it? It was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. And there was like parts flying everywhere, and he didn't care. And he's just demonstrating how fast he could go. I don't recommend that on Dollar Hot Dog Night.
10 of 18 batters, Teheran, 3 ball counts. Tyler Moore ripping on 3-1. Good to see Tyler get back to the big leagues. He laid a good swing on a double in the 6th inning here last night. And that's a good swing, but it's right at Cameron Maybin. Tyler Moore locked in. 1 out, 5th inning. Top of the order now, Jason Orth.
And this becomes a must-win. If the Marlins stay ahead of the Mets, it's 3-0 still. At 1-1 game in the 5th, you're trying to gain ground any way you can. Claw, scrap, fight your way back into this thing. This is a must-win, and Matt Williams just managed that inning like it was Game 7, and guess what? The rest of them are Game 7s.
Yeah, managers sure get ripped when things don't go right, and Matt deserving some props there for not letting Freddie Freeman hurt the Nats. And then going to the bullpen with the power left-hander, Matt Thornton. You got those extra arms here in September in the bullpen, and you'll see things like that in the 5th inning. Worth 1 for 2. He's hit the ball the other way twice. And I noticed with that in mind, Freddie Freeman playing further off the first base line than he was last time up. Good hold in that situation. Lobaton was on second base. Jason hit the ball sharply to Markakis, so the runner had to hold at third. Here's the 2-2. Got it. 84 for Julio Teheran, strikeout number 3.
Well, he's had a good swing back fastball tonight. He's had a good slider. He's kept the ball down and thrown strikes.
Edwin Jackson, the former Nat. Only 3 relievers didn't pitch last night for the Braves. Brandon Cuniff, Arodys Vizcaíno, and Edwin. Atlanta had 8 pitchers in the ballgame last evening.
That's a good slider.
He's got one going now, doesn't he?
I mean, it's late. You can't pick it up, it looks like. And it looks like that fastball away that he's been throwing for a strike. That's the key. You throw the fastball away for a strike, you have to commit to the slider, and he's been running it back, and that was a pretty good pitch.
Yeah. A.J. Pierzynski was so far outside he had to reach back for a pitch near the corner. Rendon waited for that one. That one backs up Garcia a bit. He's got it, and the Nats go 1, 2, 3. So we'll look forward to Harper and Zimmerman next inning. It's still 1-1 after 5.
Strong fan photo. Hashtag Nats Couch Cam. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. That's brought to you by T-Mobile.
I think he's getting ready to go somewhere.
If that's Nick Poletti, he's had better days.
Got the bag packed in the background. Tighten it up, Nick.
Mixing a shave.
Here's Felipe Rivero for the 6th.
Scuffling.
Chase Peterson up first. 0 for 1 struck out by Rivero earlier this year. Something on the field out by the scoreboard, so the crew takes care of that. And we're getting ready for the top of the 6th. Mets have picked up a run in their top of the 6th at Miami. Right side, races on. Bare hand Zimmerman. 4-3 from Rendon. Just the opposite of what you might think. One guy with the glove, second guy with the bare hand.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things going on in this play real quick, but the communication by Anthony Rendon was the best part. Ryan Zimmerman went for it, realized he had to go back to the base. Watch Ryan go for it, and then Rendon take it and Zim barehand it. But the key here, and I don't know if we have sound of it, I could hear it up here, was Anthony Rendon saying, I got it, I got it, I got it. That's when Zim retreats to the bag, finds the base, barehands the baseball, and gets a big first out here in the 6th. So many things going on there, but communication, the key. I mean, great athleticism all the way around, but if you don't talk right there, that play's not made.
1 out, 6th inning. Andrelton Simmons is next. Out to short for Ian Desmond. Ryan Zimmerman kind of dancing out of the way of the base runner.
Listen to this, see if you can hear it. I could hear it the first time. You hear Anthony Rendon in the background saying, I got it. And that's when Ryan went to the bag. It's real good lesson for you younger players right there. And a ball in between. Talk, communicate, and then have a laugh about it after you make the play.
Julio Teheran's at 98 pitches. He is on deck as Michael Bourne comes in, but they're warming up Edwin Jackson again. So if Bourne gets aboard, they could pinch hit. Rivero breaking that guy's bat. Ian Desmond. 1, 2, 3. And how about the bullpen right now? 5 in a row for Matt Thornton and Felipe Rivero on 13 total pitches.
Benz of Alexandria. Bottom of the 6th, 1-1 ball game. Well pitched, well played. Good defense on both sides. 7 hits in the ball game, and wouldn't you know, after the Nats scored 15 one night, did 18 hits. This is how it goes. Always happens the next night. They're trying to scratch one across here in the 6th and take a lead in a must-win ball game.
Bryce Harper, the offense tonight, at least from the scoring standpoint. First inning, 2-out homer, upper deck over the scoreboard. Intentionally walked in the 3rd. On-base percentage skyrocketing. It's right now around .467.
You get the feeling he doesn't even need to swing here, but he'll be ready.
And Teheran gets a strike to the outer half. So Bryce now career 10 for 22 against Julio. 3 homers, 5 batted in, and 3 walks. He's got a good changeup and some secondary pitches going right now, and Bryce out ahead of that for the first out.
I'll show you the offense tonight. Bryce Harper, his 32nd home run of the year, no doubter, upper deck. A big-time wow home run from Bryce Harper. And then A.J. Pierzynski, and this is how the Braves scored a run. Crazy, right? One ball goes about 470 feet. The other ball goes 85 feet. 1-1.
Zimmerman doesn't get all of it. That's a good thing. Falls in front of Michael Bourne. Ryan first pitch swinging after flying out to right field twice. He now has a 9-game hitting streak. Freddie Gonzalez pretty tired of watching Ryan Zimmerman, and it's only game 2 of the 4-game set.
Yeah, Bat died a hero just off the sweet spot down by the label. You heard the sound. Broken bat single for Zimmerman. Go ahead, run aboard here in the 6th.
2 first basemen who can hack getting together over there. Glenn Robinson's had a couple of decent at bats. He's walked, hit a ball sharply to third that went right through Adonis Garcia, and that's ball 1. Well, the Mets have 2 runs in the 6th inning. Tom Kohler trying to put out that fire to keep the Marlins on top. Robinson, base hit, right field. Zimmerman had to hold as the ball was right near him. 2 on, 1 out, and Escobar is next. First time tonight the Nats put hits together.
Yeah, Ryan Zimmerman had to let this ball go through, so as the ball goes past him, he stops. There's no first to third action. Now let's watch him run into second. He's kind of favoring that foot again a little bit. Hey, when you've been on base as much as Ryan has the last 6 or 7 days, that plantar fasciitis probably has a tendency to flare up.
You are right about that. Barry Bonds used to talk about that, the amount of time he would spend on his feet during a typical ball game. So the Nats have Tehran over 100 pitches. Escobar double play ball in the 2nd, walk in the 4th. So the Mets did settle for those 2 runs in the 6th. 3-2 Miami. Marlins coming up shortly. Simmons keeping Zimmerman close at second. Tehran still throwing 94 here in the 6th inning. He's trying to go at least 6 for the 19th time this year. He's gone 7 innings 9 times. A couple of times he's gone and out into the 8th, but that's been about it for him as far as endurance goes this year. 103 pitches last time out in that nightmare against the Yankees when he pitched 1 out into the 5th. That was a changeup up and in. 2-1.
You can hear the fans yelling at me at home. They're all must wins now, FD. Well, this is a muster win.
Well, you know what? You have to must win 1 before you can must win all of them.
Well, with the Marlins ahead, this is a muster win.
Escobar, ooh, that's just foul. Ball had a lot of hook on it. But Tehran's been pulling the string a bit the last few innings to have some hitters out ahead. Two and 2 with 2 aboard, 1 out. Escobar, base hit right field. They'll have to hold the runners. Markakis to it in a hurry. Yunel hits it beautifully to right. 3 straight singles, and the bases are loaded with 1 out. Ian Desmond coming up.
I like right field Yunel way better than left field Yunel. I just think he gets so many more hits when he thinks about going the other way. At times he likes to pull the baseball because he's sick of people throwing the ball in on him, and I understand that. But when he has this inside-out swing like that, it's just so beautiful. And that's where he does his most damage. And I like the fact that Ryan Zimmerman, even though he knew the stop sign was on, still took 2 or 3 hard steps around third should Nick Markakis bobble the ball in right. That's good base running.
Freddie Gonzalez staying with Julio Teheran here. Ian Desmond, a called strikeout. Last time hit it well. Markakis ran down a would-be extra base hit to the right field corner. Breaking ball from one side of the plate to the other. Strike one.
It's a good take. Give him that strike. You don't want that yet.
Hits are even at 5. 1-1 ball game. And he had Desmond waving at that one. Now the real battle begins.
Well, if he does what he's done all night long and pitchers like to get into patterns, he's going to buzz Ian Desmond up and in with a fastball and go back to the slider, unless he gets in a rush and he just triples up on the slider.
He does the latter. So is the hitter wondering now, am I going to see 4 sliders?
You just got to look fastball away and fight,
react, huh?
and fight on everything else.
1-2 with 1 out. Desmond can't get that slider. 2 down. It'll be up to Jose Lobaton, a Teheran nemesis, with 2 down. Jose tonight, a walk and a double play ball. A 1-hopper back to Teheran that ended the 4th inning with 2 men aboard. Lobaton in the air, left center. Michael Bourne's going to make the call. The Nats are going to strand 3. That's 7 on the ball game, and this one 1-1 into the 7th.
Might remember that last year, Drew Storen made an addition to the bullpen. He designed the elevated bench that's up there. This year, Drew has added something new. He came up to me yesterday. He said, I've got a Dan Kolko sideline report for you. He went and bought that old school phone booth on eBay. He said, I don't know how many other bullpens in the league have a phone booth in it, and he said he wants to get a payphone for the dugout, so every time Steve McCatty calls down, he has to drop a quarter in there. He said this is becoming the pen that Storen built. Another cool addition by Drew Storen to the Nationals bullpen.
That is great. So's that. Daniel Castro, the pinch hitter, one pitch, line drive. Caught by Escobar. That's 4 in a row retired by Felipe Rivero.
Good stuff, Dan.
I'm surprised Drew didn't buy one of those things from England, you know, where you can actually go in there and change into your Superman outfit for the 8th inning.
Stanford guy studying. Shocking.
Yeah. Make Steve McCatty pay for the phone call.
Just jingling around the dugout with a back pocket full of quarters the whole game.
Get him up, Steve. Get him up. I don't have any change.
Here comes Cat. Just listen.
That's great. Markakis 0 for 1. Couple of walks tonight. Braves box. The Przynski spinning base hit back in the 3rd. Had 2 hits that inning. 2 in the 1st. Cameron Maybin, though, got picked off by Tanner Roar. So a good night for Freddie Freeman, 2 hits and a walk, and Cameron Maybin, 2 for 3. Markakis swings right through that fastball, 1-2. He is 0 for 2 career against Felipe Rivero. Marlins didn't score in the 6th. Mets batting. Top of the 7th at Miami, trailing 3-2. Look out. Screamer into the first couple of rows of the mezzanine, then it ended up downstairs.
Felipe Rivero's got a new turn to his windup that he didn't have his short of time back as a Cardinals series. When you watch him right now, he's got a little Johnny Cueto in his turn, and he didn't have that in the Cardinals series. Watch when he gathers himself and almost shows his numbers to Nick Markakis right here. Well, he didn't do it right there, but he did it a couple pitches before, so maybe he's varying his looks. But I'm watching video on my iPad of him against the Cardinals, and he didn't do that.
(3-2). Don't want to walk this anybody and extend the inning to Freddie Freeman. So there's Desmond scampering to his left, getting behind it, and then he's always got the great gun to finish it off. 2 outs.
So end of the summer, sad, but if you go to the Fitz, you'll be happy. Highlights include Fan Appreciation Week, September 1st through the 7th. Fireworks, $1 ticket Monday, September 7th. Go to the website or call the number on your screen for all the information.
There's Cameron Maybin. What a good night he's had. Maybin against Rivero, 0 for 1 career. He has been throwing some strikes. 5 pitches, 5 strikes, 3 ground balls last inning.
As I said, he hasn't done it once. But this is the guy you got to be careful with. This is the hot bat that I've seen the last 2 days in this lineup. He's getting off some good swings.
Dropped a breaking ball on him. Maybin seeing it well. Not biting.
99.
It's Felipe Rivero's 34th appearance. Nissan will bring you the at-bat here. He's trying to pound him inside. Got him! 99 from Felipe Rivero. Hey, we told you the ball would carry well tonight. Look at this.
Nobody's hitting that. I don't care who you are.
Hyundai 7th inning stretch arrives with a bang. 6 in a row for Felipe Rivero, and the Nats tied with the Braves. Nats. Julio Teheran out of the game. Edwin Jackson about to come in. Nats bullpen's been fantastic. Felipe Rivero showing us something even better than what he's done well lately.
I think I referred to him once as a poor man's Rex Chapman or Geraldus Chapman, but I mean the way he's thrown tonight, 99 down and in. I mean you got to tip your cap to Julio Teheran too. He's pitched very well for the Braves, coming off one of his worst starts ever against the Yankees, a 20-6 loss where he gave up 8 runs. So made the adjustments between starts. He's been good tonight. But with the Marlins ahead of the Mets, they're all must-wins. Got to find a way to pull this one out here tonight.
And, of course, Matt Thornton, couple of big outs back in that 5th inning. Bullpen's been great. So they keep doing what they've been doing, and maybe the Nats can get something done here against former teammate Edwin Jackson, who, of course, started the year with the Cubs. And then the Braves picked him up to show some of these young kids the way to get things done.
Edwin Jackson was a good Nat.
He was.
And if he's still a good Nat, no, I'm just kidding.
Danny Espinosa pinch hitting in the number 9 spot, rather, somehow got out of the way of that breaking ball that was tracking him.
Nice night off the bench last night. 2 for 2 with a homer.
That's as good as it gets when you don't start the game. And there's architect Drew Storn getting ready for the 8th inning.
Danny Espinosa had a base hit left-handed first at-bat, then 13th home run of the year right-handed second at-bat, so join the hit parade.
Danny Espinosa, 2 for 5 career against Edwin. And now as a pinch hitter, 2 for 9 on the year with that home run. 2-1 pitch. Little tapper. Horrible throw, but he gave Freddie Freeman a long enough hop. Edwin looking down like he caught his spike or something there. 1 out.
Yeah, he did. He tripped. Threw a nasty split to Freddie Freeman. Watch his left foot. I couldn't see it right there, but it caught, and he threw a dart. Good play by Freddie Freeman.
Edwin Jackson with the Cubs this year. 23 games out of the bullpen. 3.19 ERA. And they let him go. Braves picked him up. High and tight to Jason Worth, who's 2 for 7 career against him. Edwin won 10 games as a starter with the Nats in 2012, 10-11 with a 4.03 ERA and a really good ball club, and that's ball 3.
Nats need a base runner for obvious reasons, but there's no lefties up in the Braves bullpen. So if the Nats could get a runner on, Bryce Harper hits this thing against Edwin Jackson.
Yeah.
Matt Williams has to be happy about that.
All 3 of those guys pitched last night. Worth ripping. Oh, what a play, Adonis Garcia. That ball was labeled for the corner, and he made an amazing leap to his right.
It's one of the better plays I've seen all year. I was looking for that ball down the corner. I thought that was by him. Jason Worth can't hit a ball any harder than this, and look at Adonis leave his feet. You see Bob Henley's reaction. Jason Worth was the same. That had 2 bases written all over it.
Wow.
That ball almost got through his web. Did you see that as he was hitting the ground? It's almost through. Look at that. Half the ball was sticking out. That's how hard Jason Worth hit that. What a play.
There's Rendon. Third basemen have been busy with line drives in this one tonight. Escobar's caught a couple. And Anthony Rendon fouls one out of play to the right side, 0-2. Nats box, Bryce Harper 2-out homer in the first. Since then, a base hit by Worth in the third. Back-to-back-to-back singles last inning by Zimmerman, Robinson, and Escobar, but Desmond and Lobaton couldn't get the Nats the lead. 0-2 pitch. That ball's sitting up a bit. Edwin Jackson, 86 career major league wins. First pitch for the Dodgers in 03. And the Mets have come from behind to take the lead. Rendon called out on strikes. Nats go in order, 7th inning. And this one, too close to call. Freddie Freeman, 8th inning to lead off. 7-12, but he has a 2.5 ERA. They just don't score runs when he pitches. They got him in the Jason Hayward deal. Here's Gio looking for number 10 tomorrow night. And earlier this year against Atlanta, in 7 innings, struck out 8 Braves, gave only 2 earned runs. We'll get you going tomorrow night at 6:30 with Nats Extra right here on Masson. Drew Storen for the 8th inning.
55th appearance for Drew. ERA at 3.12. 64 strikeouts versus just 12 walks all season long. Opponents hitting .214.
Yeah, next busiest guy on the staff, Matt Thornton, who made his 49th earlier tonight. So it's Freddie Freeman, A.J. Pierzynski, and Adonis Garcia. Freddie Freeman against Drew Carrier. I'll tell you after the at-bat. Slider stays away. Freeman tonight a double to the scoreboard. Base hit to left. Intentionally walked in the 5th. Now he's 3 for 3. They're playing deep. It's going to take Worth a while to run this one down. Freddie Freeman going for 2, and he's in there. Sometimes you play no doubles and the guy gets a double anyway. Freddie Freeman is now 1 for 12 career against Drew Storen.
Elevated fastball. Looked like Jose Lobaton wanted that down and in. And we were talking earlier, the Nats have had success against Freeman when they jammed him in with the fastball. That went out over the plate. Freeman ready for it. And right out of the gate, he's thinking double. As soon as he sees this into the gap, he sees Jason Worth playing deep. He knows he has to go far to his right to get it. So a leadoff double for the Braves here in the 8th.
Pierzynski against Drew Carrier, 2 for 2. And this ball out of play, right field side.
That napkin bothering A.J. Pierzynski. You saw it swirling around before the pitch.
Looks like those Mets runs came on Yoenis Cespedes. 11th home run since joining them. Oh, 1 to Pierzynski. Lobaton set up away. Fastball out there. 1-1. Marlins, by the way, have a couple of guys on base. Bottom of the 7th. Nobody out. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Jacob deGrom is out of that game for New York. Way outside, 2-1. To the left side, it's in front of the runner. So Freeman has to freeze on a big out handled by Ian Desmond.
Well, A.J. Pierzynski's going to be upset about that at bat. He got to a 3-1 count. He had a sinker away, a ground ball to Desmond, and does not move the go-ahead run with nobody out. Unproductive at bat. He knows it.
For the Achiever in you, PNC Bank with our Lucas Giolito update. So with Harrisburg against Akron, 6 innings. Gave up some runs tonight. 1 walk. 91 pitches. Every time out is a new adventure for him in his march to the big leagues. Here's Adonis Garcia. 0 for 3 tonight. Couple of grounders. Oh, they're going to go with the switch hitter, Nick Swisher. And why not? Nick has never faced Drew Storen. Got a breaking ball. That's a base hit. Around third is Freeman. He's coming home. Worth's throw is up the line. Lobaton couldn't handle it, and the Braves lead 2-1. Nick Swisher on the attack. First pitch.
Looked like a slider just stayed out over the plate. Bo Porter with the send. Jason Worth with a pretty good throw. It looked like Freeman was going to be safe either way. Jose Lobaton tried to make a superhero tag right here, but it didn't matter. Freddie Freeman beat it.
That guy brings a lot of life to any ball club he plays on. He's been playing hurt all year, coming back from 2 knee surgeries. Braves got him from Cleveland, and the next hitter is Jace Peterson. Peterson 0 for 3 tonight. Yet against Drew Storen, career 0 for 2.
Hey, look at Drew's stuff lately. And it's just, I mean, you remember the first half of the season, he was hitting every spot. If you were catching, you didn't move your glove once, whether it was the slider, the fastball. And I just think the adjustment he's had to make to the 8th inning initially was fine, and then for whatever reason.
First 5 outings were one batter from being perfect. Last 7 appearances, a 1.29 ERA, but in some instances, runs have come in not charged to him. It's just been a rough ride lately. Now the Nats have to refire the offense. First of all, keep this 2-1. They do have 3, 4, 5 coming up, bottom of the 8th. Three and 2.
Well, I mean, the way you look at this is you had to score to win anyways. I mean, it's a 1-1 ball game, so if you're the Nats offense, keep it right here. You had to score a run to win the ball game. Yeah, you only have 6 outs left. That's the part that isn't great, but you also have a bunch of young guys in a Braves bullpen that you're hoping you get some runs off of.
Runner going, a ball slashed to right, could be a double play. Worth a good throw will get him. Zimmerman on the in-between hop, just not able to pick it. 2 outs.
See, that's one that Jason Worth has made a bunch of times. In that situation, you either go long hop or no hop, and I think Jason Worth chose to go no hop. And the way Ryan Zimmerman fielded that ball from behind the bag, you're wondering if he steps out toward the baseball, does he field it in the air? But the fact that he backed up behind the base created a hop that might not have been there. I think if he steps on the bag with his right foot, stretches out with his left toward Jason Worth, he catches that on a fly.
Here's Andrelton Simmons. Simmons 3 for 11 against Drew Storen. On the edge. No balls, 2 strikes. Marlins have tied the game in Miami with a run in the 7th. 4-4. They still have 2 men on. Crowd a little quiet right now. They want this out, then they can rev it up for some big hitters coming up. 1-2 pitch. In the air to right. Worth is there. Braves will turn a Freddie Freeman double and a Swisher single into a go-ahead run. It'll be Bryce Harper, Ryan Zimmerman, and Clint Robinson. To you by Land Rover, above and beyond. And by 9 Point Systems, they offer the technology you need when you need it. September ball caps here at the Yard. The Nats now need some September scoring in a 2-1 game. Let's have a look at our UMUC history. Brought to you by University of Maryland, University College. September 4th of 3 years ago, Ian Desmond, 2-run first-inning homer. Adam LaRoche would go deep twice to spark a 6-home-run barrage. Nats pounded the Cubs, and they became the first team representing the nation's capital in 79 years of modern baseball to hit more than 4 homers in a home game. The 6 matched an all-time record. Pedro Siriaco takes over for Garcia after Swisher hit for him, third base. Arodys Vizcaíno, 25-year-old right-hander, came over from the Cubs in a deal for infielder Tommy La Stella. He has not faced Bryce Harper before.
Yeah, pretty good fastball, averages 98. Curveball to go with it. Doesn't really throw the changeup a whole lot, but he has one.
Ryan Zimmerman awaits. 2-0 pitch. Well, right now, the Marlins have loaded them up after tying the Mets. 1 out, 7th inning down there. And again, we have a moment or two here where the fortunes of an entire division could change. Harper takes one in there on 3-0. 99, and the count goes full. Bryce Harper just spits on a fastball that didn't miss by much. And he's now walked 106 times.
Well, he usually has the green light 3-0. Whether he uses it or not is up to him. That was the best pitch he saw in that sequence. The 3-1 fastball was outer half. It was a strike, but it's not something you want to pull for a homer. And that 3-2 pitch just misses low. Freddie Freeman might be asking Bryce, how in the world did you take that? He's got such a great eye.
Yeah, how are you seeing the ball like this? Ryan Zimmerman, base hit. Out to left field, last time up. He sees Vizcaíno for the first time, and a breaking ball up in the zone toward the outer half. Gets a strike call. Well, Ryan thought it was a heater.
All right, gearing up for 99. You got a pair of sliders. That's what happens when you're hotter than the sun. Maybe he throws one in the dirt for Bryce to get to second here.
That's a breaking ball outside. Ryan couldn't reach it. That'll bring in Clint Robinson. He has walked, reached on an error, and singled. 1 for 2 tonight. Now the Marlins have taken a 5-4 lead. Bottom of the 7th in Miami. And the bases down there still loaded with 1 out.
Clint Robinson can turn some 99 around. He showed us that the other night going upper deck.
Yes, he can. He doesn't have to swing real hard to do it either. Strong young man.
He likes a good heater.
Close and just outside. 2-1. Similar location. Clint unable to get to it.
He's trying to use that hole created by Bryce or more. Meaning if he gets something in, turn on it. And by more, I mean if he gets something elevated, hit it into the bullpen. But right now, Vizcaíno's staying away.
Robinson into the glove of Freddie Freeman for an unassisted double play. Nothing Bryce Harper could do.
Unbelievable.
And the Nats are gone in the 8th inning. The Braves have a 2-1 lead.
Back to the 8th inning, Freddie Freeman with the leadoff double. A.J. Przinsky grounded out to short. And Nick Swisher off the bench. First pitch base hit to right. That scored Freddie Freeman, and that's the difference in the ballgame. 2-1 Braves as we move to the top of the 9th inning.
And trying to keep it that way, Matt Williams brings in Jonathan Papelbon. Matt Dendecker will play the left field, and looks like he'll bat 9th on a double switch. So Jonathan Papelbon, 13th game for the Nats with a 2.25 ERA. As a Nationals pitcher, batting average against is 2.22. Michael Bourne against Papelbon. 9th inning underway on a pitch outside. Bourne 1 for 5 career with a walk and 2 strikeouts against Jonathan.
Papelbon with that save the other night on the 2nd at St. Louis. Through a split at 89, and you could kind of see the veteran presence just kind of walking off the mound, slowing things down. He said after the game, you know, what was the adjustment you made? Well, he said, I'm going to get beat with 94, not 89. So he went back to his fastball. Always get beat with your best pitch.
Up the middle. Now the Braves have out hit the Nats 8-5. Bourne's going to round the bag in a hurry. Bryce knew it, and he came charging hard to pick up that base hit. That'll bring in the third baseman, Pedro Siriaco. Infielder, hitter who can handle the bat. Long look down at Bo Porter, the third base coach. Still looking.
I think it's a bunt situation, but you never know. Maybe throw over to first once to see if he shows.
The Marlins 7th inning over, but they did pick up 2 to take a 5-4 lead on the Mets. Target way in. Bourne started, then stopped. Then the pitch was upstairs.
So had the bunt on, took the bunt off. Oh no, kept the bunt on, and now they're going to have a talk. Somebody missed a sign. So a lot of times what happens in these situations, as a third base coach, you put the bunt sign on. It's an obvious bunt situation. You know the whole other dugout's looking at you. You want to keep the bunt sign on. You don't put the same bunt sign on. What teams will have is a repeat sign.
Right.
So if I touch the bill of my cap, it means it's still on. So I don't have to give the bunt sign again and give the other team an opportunity to steal my bunt sign.
He'll lay that one down perfectly. It's going to take a good play. Escobar couldn't grab it. And Siriaco might have been safe even had Unell picked that ball up and thrown. 2 on, nobody out.
There was a little hesitation. Unell Escobar, watch him at the top of the screen, not charging hard. And then you see kind of the false step, and that was the difference. Even if he feels that, he's safe. I mean, in an obvious bunt situation, and you know they're going to bunt, you got to get right in his face. And I think right there, Unell Escobar, not sure about the bunt. Flat-footed when the ball crossed home plate, and that was the difference.
Nick Markakis does not have a sacrifice bunt this year. With bats like Maben and Freeman coming up, we'll see how they play it. No sign of scoring around. Strike one.
I mean, in an obvious bunt situation, there's no way anybody should ever be surprised by a bunt.
0-2 pitch popped up. Well, more than a pop-up now. It's out to center. Harper. The runner is born, not going anywhere, and Bryce will throw a pill to Ian Desmond.
Most popular way to follow all the action of the Nats is with MLB.com at-bat, the #1 at-bat for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio, broadcasts, and more. Get the MLB.com at-bat right now.
Cameron Maben, 0 for 2 career against Jonathan Papelbon. And thanks to that fly ball not being deep enough to advance anybody, the double play still in order with 1 out. But Maben's had a pretty good night. Felipe Rivero got him looking in the 7th. His only other out, a line drive to Escobar in the 3rd, and that's outside. Right off the hands. Rendon the catch, 2 outs.
A good pitch by Jonathan Papelbon right there. Maben's been swinging the bat well, ran it right on his hands. Big second out.
And now a big time matchup between Papelbon and Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman against Jonathan Career, 2 for 7. And he's had a perfect night. 2 doubles, a single, and intentional walk. The Nats have 6, 7, and 8 due up bottom of this inning. And Freeman out to left center. I knew he had to make an out sometime, and that's a good time. Going bottom 9, scheduled are Escobar, Desmond, and Lobaton in a 2-1 game.
We hope you'll stick around and join us for our Nats Extra postgame show coming up after the ball club pulls it out here at the bottom of the 9th inning.
I'm with you, partner. A lot of opportunities tonight. 3rd and 6, runners on third base, less than 2 outs, not able to score. Bases loaded a couple of times. We had a couple of base hits that guys weren't able to score on. 2-1 ball game. Line drives roped down the line with runners on base. Just hasn't happened offensively, even though we've stacked guys out there.
So we got the bottom of the 9th coming up. It's 2-1 Atlanta. We hope we'll see you in a couple of minutes to talk about a nice pull out the baby in the bottom of the 9th game. Let's go back up to Bob and FP.
All right, thank you, Johnny, and thank you, Ray. Toyota case for kids, $37 every time a Nats pitcher strikes somebody out, and that's thanks to the generosity of our Washington area Toyota dealers helping children and their families. Well, Craig Kimbrell is long gone. Jason Grilli is on the DL with a left Achilles. And Arodys Vizcaíno is 4 for 4 in save opportunities. This would be a 2-inning save for him.
All right, rally anything. Let's go.
Yunel Escobar, 1 for 2. Walk and a base hit tonight.
Rally everything. Yeah, that's the rally hat. All right.
Inside out, whatever.
Rally watch. Rally the whole season.
Escobar, Desmond, and Lobitone here. Marlins trying to hang on in Miami. Mets have the bases loaded, 2 outs, top of the 8th in a 1-run game.
Rally Harper.
And they got out of that inning, so it's still 5-4 going to the bottom of the 8th. Escobar, right field line, yes. It'll get by the short corner and get him easily into second base. Multi-hit game number 40 this year for Yunel Escobar.
Rally leadoff double. Rally rosary, whatever it takes. Yunel Escobar going down the right field line. And right field Yunel does it again. So now the job to get him over or get him in for Ian Desmond here. Down by 1. And Yunel Escobar wants everybody on their feet here at Nats Park and maybe even at home. Let's go.
Trey Turner is going to run for him. So blinding speed at second base with nobody out. Ian Desmond, not really your bunt a guy over kind of hitter, but let's see how it's played. The Nats have 3 shots to tie or take the lead. Desmond will bunt, and he's late for it. Ian tonight, a couple of strikeouts, and then robbed of an extra base hit by Nick Markakis in between. Wilson Ramos is next for Lobitone, despite it being a righty-righty matchup.
Didn't look too comfy on that first one. See if Matt Williams takes it off or makes him bunt again. Freddie Freeman way in at first base.
Pulls off. Well done. 1-1. Doesn't take a good bunt, or a great one that is, to get a guy like Trey Turner to third base.
Absolutely. Just get it down in the dirt. I mean, you have one of the fastest players in baseball on second base. Just get the ball down. It doesn't have to be directional. It doesn't have to be anywhere but fair, but down so that Trey Turner can read the down angle and take off.
Fouled. Well, June 24th against the Braves, Ian Desmond broke their hearts. That was an 11-inning, 2-1 win with a sac fly.
Well, maybe missing the first 2 is a good thing, and now he goes deep. Who knows?
You see that on occasion, don't you?
Yep. I don't think they'll try 3. He did not look comfortable on the first 2. He's a swinger.
Well, now he squares. And Ian Desmond does get it down. How about that?
That was great.
1-4 on the sacrifice, Trey Turner. And now your focus turns to the fact that a fly ball doesn't have to be 350 feet to bring this guy in either.
Boy, if you've ever been in that situation before, bunting with 2 strikes, it'll get your heart rate going. And a golf clap from the manager, Ian Desmond, doing a nice job with 2 strikes, getting the bunt down. And to your point about Trey again, Carp, sac fly is in pretty much anywhere in the outfield right now. Wilson Ramos has to get a ball in the air, and it's a tie ball game. And if he gets in the air far enough, we're all going home.
Well, you can do this when you have 3 catchers. Infield in, first pitch, a swing and a miss. What a big breaking ball from Arodys Vizcaíno.
Control the pulse, get a pitch up, stay up the middle.
Then a reminder, the pitcher spot not on deck. It's Dendecker who came in on the double switch.
Trey Turner needs to look out for that slider in the dirt right here after he threw the first one.
85 on the breaking ball, 0-2. There's Dendecker. Wilson Ramos, of course, on an 11-game hitting streak, coming in for 1 AB here. Target away. Fastball blown by him. 2 outs. Yeah, that thing must have looked like 105 after those sliders. And it'll be up to Matt Dendecker in the number 9 spot.
Well, he's going to be frustrated with this at bat. I don't think he saw a strike. Couple of sliders down the way, fastball up and in. And if you haven't pinch hit a whole lot and you come up with the game on the line, it's not the easiest thing in the world.
That's down to their final hope in Matt Dendecker, the left fielder. Inside.
I don't think
he is bringing it.
He hasn't pinch hit all year because the Nats have had 2 catchers. And all of a sudden you sit there with the game on the line, and if you haven't done it before, when you ask everyday players and they finally pinch hit, they'll tell you.
This guy's been okay. Homer, 2 RBIs, pinch hitting. Dendecker ties the game. His 5th pinch hit of the year. And one of the September call-ups who was on the opening day roster has just saved the day here in D.C.
That was clutch. I'd say what, he has been such a good add to this ball club. Coming off the bench, he's been clutch. Spot starts, he's been clutch. And with the season teetering on the line tonight, he ties the game at 2 here in the bottom of the 9th. And you're playing with house money right now. Yeah. I'd be surprised if he steals second or tries to here early.
So Dendecker must have told himself it was a pinch hitting experience. It was already in the game, but he treated that like the clutch situation it was. Now here's Jason Worth. So Matt Dendecker ties the ball game with his 6th overall RBI of the year. Outside to Worth, 2-0. And Matt, who really does have good speed himself, had to scramble back into the bag.
Rally everything worked. Yep, whatever. Rally Sharkats.
And the rally may not be over. Jason Worth's 2nd hit of the night. And now Anthony Rendon has a chance to turn everything around here.
Rally jumping kid in the background. It's all going on.
Peter Moylan is coming into the game, it appears, for a righty-righty matchup against Anthony Rendon. So Vizcaíno, his first blown save since closing games for Atlanta. And the Nats have life. Winning runs at second base with 2 outs in the 9th. One guy really clutch this year.
Oh, look at the fastball right down Broadway, and Matt Dendecker ready for it. Sent it right back where it came from, back up the middle. And you see Cameron Maben playing shallow, but that was a low line drive. Trey Turner scores, tie ball game, and this place lost its mind. And then Jason Worth follows up with a base hit, putting Matt Dendecker in scoring position, and now the stage moves to Anthony Rendon. Can he end this game?
Peter Moylan, last pitch in the big leagues for the Dodgers 2 years ago. 11th appearance for the Braves here. He's been walked off in this ballpark before by a long ball, Ryan Zimmerman. 7.5 years ago. It's Rendon this time. And that one frisbee's in for a strike. Anthony faces Peter Moylan for the first time.
Real important for Matt Dendecker to get a good secondary lead right here. He's going on contact, but the Braves outfield cheating up. They have to be in a position to throw Dendecker out, and Simmons doing what Simmons does right there. I don't know what that was.
That one trying to come in through the front door, and it just stayed inside. Anthony Rendon 0 for 4 tonight. The run that means everything right near Andrelton Simmons.
He likes the daylight play. He's not afraid to work a pickoff in situations like this. That's why he's kind of hovering behind Dendecker, but now he's getting range.
Rendon a swing and a miss on a fastball, 92. Moylan's heater plays a little quicker than that because of his breaking stuff. Rendon stays alive.
This is vintage cardiac Nats.
Well, been waiting for one of these. Championship seasons are made up of dramatic moments, and we just haven't had that many around this ballpark in this situation this year. They've already come from behind to tie it. Great take, and that wasn't easy. That thing had some kind of break. Bryce Harper on deck, bottom of the ninth. Rendon to short. Simmons the short way, and this ball game's going to the 10th. But the Nats parlay 3 hits into a tying run. First of all, Wilson Ramos stays in after pinch hitting, and he will catch. After Escobar was pinch run 4, Anthony Rendon goes to third, and there's Trey Turner at second base. Here's something else that didn't change. The man on the mound, Jonathan Papelbon, is out for another inning after 15 pitches, 12 strikes in the ninth. And he'll face A.J. Pierzynski. Veteran catcher, 1 for 4 career against the Nats closer. Fastball outside. Pierzynski tonight, 1 for 3, hit by a pitch, RBI single. By the way, in extra innings this year, the Braves are 4-7. They're 1-4 on the road. The Nats are 5-2, and they have not lost an extra inning game here this year, 3-0. One ball and 2 strikes. There are 2 outs in the top of the ninth at Miami. Mets have a runner at first base. And this bouncing ball to Ryan Zimmerman, to the bag himself for the first out.
Pretty good split right there by Papelbon.
And by the way, the pitcher spot was due up next from the 8th inning double switch. So Hector Oliveira, who started at third base last night and went 0 for 3 as the pinch hitter. He's going to try to drop one into right center. No way. Trey Turner gets there, turning one way, then the other.
Jonathan Papelbon is game on intense, boy. Everything he does, even looking at Trey Turner right there after he made the catch. He played a lot of second base, so that ball kind of tailing. Look at the adjustment he makes. A little DB in him right there.
Yeah. He didn't blow a bubble right in the middle of that, did he? Come on.
Yeah, he did.
2 outs, bases empty. Here's Jace Peterson. Fastball to the outer half. Papelbon feeling it right now.
I mean, I feel like we should turn off the gun down the right-hand corner because it's almost like he's throwing 98. I see so many guys late on his fastball.
He did well to chop one foul. And he took a little bit off, in the dirt it goes. Well, A.J. Ramos hanging by a thread. 1st and 3rd for the Mets. 2 outs, top of the ninth, 5-4 Marlins. Facing former Brave Kelly Johnson. 2-2 here, top of the 10th, 2 outs. Ramos sets up outside edge. Papelbon gave it to him right there.
Another good split.
Some kind of a bat here by Jace Peterson, who's 1 for 2 career against Jonathan Papelbon. Just out of Ramos' men on the foul tip. First 2 guys got hits in the 9th. Papelbon retires 6 in a row. They have a lefty ready for Bryce Harper. Bottom of the 10th coming up.
Same seats, everybody.
And then the pitcher's spot coming up. Bryce has been here before against the Braves. Bottom of the 9th on Saturday, May 9th, and he knew it. We knew it. And it was 8-6 Nats on a walk-off homer against Cody Martin of the Braves. That's when Bryce was in the midst of that crazy week. He had singled and walked earlier in that game. 2 home runs the night before with a base hit. And he would homer his first time up on, or rather double a run in, first time up on Sunday. This time he's going to face a left-hander. Matt Marksberry for the Braves. He was in the ball game last night, pitched a scoreless inning. Actually, 1 inning with 1 hit, 1 run. That was in the 8th. The Nats were already putting that game away. Little icing on that 15-1 win. And Bryce was out of the game that time. By that time, his spot didn't come up. So the Mets have tied the Marlins in the 9th inning in Miami. Nothing the Nats can do about that. Take care of their own business here. Ball one, up and away to Bryce. Inside 2-0. Marksberry, 25 years of age, 6'1", 200.
Get you one right down the middle and come unglued.
5.82 ERA in 17 appearances. Rice takes one in there. Well, the Marlins could still walk off the Mets. It's the middle of the ninth inning there, 5-5. Harper, a game-winning swing, straight back and win. Three and two. If Harper doesn't end it here, or even if they may get him, they have a right-hander ready for Ryan Zimmerman. So the September bullpen wheels turning here. 3-2 pitch, and Harper base hit left field. And Bryce gives himself a hand slap on his way down to first. Big round to the bag, and he's on base for the fourth time tonight. What a season.
That's just pure hitting right there. He took one shot to end the game, fouled it back, and then with 2 strikes goes the other way. I mean, that's how you hit 333 or whatever Bryce is hitting right now. You see a little fist pump around to first. He was thinking about stretching it. Then he realized Andrelton Simmons had the ball and hustled back to the bag. He's fired up. Pitching change by the Braves. Game on.
Right-hander Brandon Cuniff, Ryan Zimmerman. Yankees were here. It was the bottom of the 10th inning. Escobar had walked with 1 out. And then with 2 outs, Ryan Zimmerman came up against Andrew Miller, and this ball would hit the right field foul pole, or the fair pole. 8-6 walk-off winners were the Nats. The Zimmerman legend, and there's the, what do you call that thing? The bucket of
filth.
And some chocolate syrup.
I'm down for both right now.
16 career walk-off hits and an unbelievable 10 of them home runs. Brandon Cuniff, the right-hander for the Braves.
Fastball, slider, occasional change. Fastball average is 93. Throws it 64% of the time. 32nd appearance. ERA at 4.08. Opponents hitting .212. Lefties hitting .412.
Michael A. Taylor in the pitcher's spot next. Ryan has never faced Brandon Cuniff. Just to keep Bryce Harper close, a throw over.
Exciting baseball game. Pair it with the drama down south. It's been a fun night.
Yeah, it looks like Marlins have one out, bases empty, bottom of the ninth there. Two and 0.
Fish ain't biting.
Not a guy seeing the ball like this.
Rally flag. Rally necklace. Desperate times.
Ball 3.
Yeah, look at Ryan looking over his shoulder. Did you see that little peek for the green light after the take? Sure. Rally hat wave. It's working.
Outfield around to the right. Three-one pitch, big rip. Well, the way Ryan Zimmerman's going, Matt Williams confident enough on a 3-2 to send Bryce Harper?
I don't think so.
We'll see.
Let him hit. Don't distract him. You don't need him to expand his zone because somebody's running.
Short lead by Bryce. Then after a look over, Cuniff steps off. Zimmerman on a breaking ball sitting upstairs.
Those are all dangerous swings. The 3-1 hack, that hack. If this one breaks, it would have actually been a good thing for Ryan, but it didn't. He thought it was going to, and he just hit the bottom half of the ball. Everybody on their feet.
Crowd of 23,536 tonight. Up the middle, base hit. Harper screaming for third. Ryan Zimmerman does it again. First and third, nobody out.
Clutch. What else would you expect from Ryan Zimmerman? This is where the no doubles defense in the outfield leaves you naked. And what I mean by that is Cameron Maybin's playing so deep because he can't let anything be hit over his head that when a ground ball gets through the infield, it allows the runner on first to advance. If Maybin's playing normal defense right there, there's no way Bryce Harper goes first to third. And now the drama falls to Michael Taylor. Can he be a walk-off hero?
Michael A. Taylor 0 for 2 against Cuniff this year. Infield way in, first pitch well outside. They're going to the 10th in Miami. The Nats are in the bottom of the 10th with a W just right in their grasp. And that will do it. High in the air. Left center. See you later. That's a little longer than a sac fly. And the Nats win by 3.
Are you kidding me?
What did I say?
Game of the year. Mark it down, folks. Things are changing around here.